everybody. Welcome to an episode of Mortgage Talk at Encore Bank. My name is Jorge Gonzalez, and I will be your host for this series. And gosh, I got to tell you, I am so excited about today's conversation. I'm being joined by wonderful people. Roxanne Ford. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
And our peer, colleague, and friend, Mike Brown. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I'm so glad to be here. We're in the heart of Austin, downtown Austin, such a beautiful city that we live in. I'm biased because I've been here for over 20 years, and I consider myself now an Austinite. Roxanne, we cannot thank you enough, seriously.
Yeah.
We have a passion for communication, collaboration here at Encore Bank, and when Mike told me that we were inviting you from Austin Title, I was so excited because of what you do. How long have you been in Austin Title?
16 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have an amazing passion for education, and I just love that. Tell me how you got involved with that.
Well, I mean, for one, just when you're in business development in the title business, you naturally want to get educated, of course, on not only what you're doing, but the entire process of real estate. You want to be out in the field talking to all the different parties that you're going to do business with and understand. But put yourself in their shoes of what it's like in the process, along with the buyers, the sellers, just all the parties, because we're working with the lender, we're working with the buyer, the seller, both realtors on each side of the transaction, surveyors. I mean,
you see it all.
We see it all. So you want to be educated, and you want to take that out to the community and have outreach and make sure everyone understands the process, because it can be confusing at times, and not everyone understands really honestly what title is, and what is the title company doing in the process.
Let's dig into that, right? We want to give a little bit of how-tos on this series, and we want to talk about understanding what your role is within the purchasing of a home or even selling a home. What's the title role?
Well, we are a neutral party in the transaction. So once we receive the contract, we are going to open title. And that is going to do a research of who's vested in title. It's really important when we get a title commitment, which comes out in about 3 days after we've opened the title. Our title client's local, and our abstractors are, they're doing the research, they're looking at everything, and they issue this title commitment. And as a benefit, of course, we pass that on to Encore, and then they are to look at that, and we want to make sure who's vested is the seller, or if it's a refinance, right? Everything is matching, and then there's liens on there, HOA, taxes, encroachments. All of those things need to be addressed and viewed. And once we get to that, and anything that needs to be really rectified or cleared, to make sure when we issue a title insurance policy and a mortgage policy, that they have, a clear title, and the title insurance being issued is going to put them in a first lien position on top of it.
Gotcha.
So that's really important that they are in that position, because if someone does default on a loan, that gives them the position to take over the property.
Gotcha. Is there anything that, as a consumer, so let's go on the buying a home part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Not so much so the selling, but buying a home. Is there anything that, through the process, we can make your life easier, or the process easier for us as a consumer when we're dealing with title? And you're talking about those liens that could be there. Is there any extensive research that we could do before?
Well, just disclosure of things most people already know. Number one, has there been a death or divorce since they've lived in the home? Because those things can affect title.
Gotcha.
Has a will been, if so, was there a will? Has it been probated? In a divorce, who received the home? All of those things are super important. If they're behind on taxes or child support, those things are going to come up. So anything that they can disclose up front, we're prepared for, but that's also why it's important for people to understand how to read a title commitment. And that's one of the things we educate on with our escrow staff out into the community. Realtors mostly attend those, but how do you read a title commitment to make sure you see those things as well?
And why vesting is important.
And why vesting is important.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, your website is so amazing. I could go in and understand some of those key points that you we talk about, you have a really unique way of setting up guides for the buyer, the seller, the real estate agent. I just love that. And on that website, and I noticed there's, you know, how-tos as well as, aside from understanding, but one of the things that we do is can't wait for that day, right, where we're going to receive our keys, and we're ready. We've gone through the process.
The big celebration.
Yes, the big celebration. So is there anything that we can prepare for that day and understand what's going to happen? Because I feel sometimes that we're like deer in the headlights. We're so excited about getting into our home, and we're ready to get those keys. But is there anything that we need to prepare in advance to come to closing? What should we expect at closing?
Yeah, well, at that point, we've done such a great job communicating with the client on what they need to bring to closing. You know, they should be pretty aware, but we always remind them a valid ID is extremely important. And a driver's license is fine. You know, sometimes the mortgage company may require 2 forms of identification.
Gotcha.
And if so, we follow that. So as a title company, we're always following the contract. We're following the lender requirements. And we have to follow all those things to make sure it gets to the point of closing. So the lender's already, done their job telling them, right?
Yeah, one thing that you definitely need to bring, and sometimes this kind of gets kind of pushed aside, is your spouse. Right?
Yes.
Don't forget your spouse.
Don't forget your spouse. Because they're going to have to sign as well, even though they might not be on the loan.
That's right. That's exactly right. And if you're separated,
that's a good tip.
And you're divorcing in a week, they still have to show up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe that could happen. Oh
Absolutely.
no, we divorce next week. Well, you are still married. We're in a community property state.
Yeah.
So they both have to sign in that situation.
I wouldn't even thought about that. That's such an important tip. So there you have it. Make sure that you bring all of the parties involved on closing day. So we know we need a valid driver license, right? We know that we need to bring our spouse if it's a property that we're buying together, or even if there's separation and we're still going to need to sign. Is there anything that we need to prep for money-wise? Do we need to bring any money? Can we bring hard cold cash to closing? What does that look like?
Typically, it's a cashier's check or a wire.
Okay.
And so we give the wiring instructions out at the beginning of the transaction one time, and we have them sign and acknowledge. With wire fraud, the way that it has been pretty rampant these last several years, we're really big on educating that buyer that these are your wiring instructions. If you receive any after this, they're not from us. That way they acknowledge that, oh, I just got some. Don't react to that and then send it. Always call back to the title company if anything like that even happens. You want to confirm that was from us. The hackers have gotten very savvy, and they're sitting out there just waiting. And so it's just real important on that side, especially on the money. So for a buyer, for a seller, they will typically just bring, a canceled check or something to closing, or they'll know their routing number and their wiring, instructions from their bank, and they go ahead and sign that right there. If they call back 10 minutes later after they leave and go, oh, we're going to change, they need to come back in and present that. We cannot take that over the phone. So that's really important.
Super important.
And all for the security of them.
Great. I want to talk a little bit about the education part of your job and the role. I know you mentioned that you guys just opened an education facility at Austin Title. Great. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's at North Mopac, across from the Arbor Walk, basically at capital of Texas and Mopac area. 183, where all that comes together right there. I've been in that building almost 17 years. We just expanded and opened up a really nice training center. And, we're all about people coming in to educate. It's mostly, mortgage companies, realtors coming in, brokers using it. They're educating there, and we're able to be a part of all of that, and obviously promote Austin Title and make sure they understand all about what the settlement services look like and helping them. We've had a homebuyer seminar already there that was out to the community from a real estate association, and so it's just empowering and
I love it.
That's
educating.
Great.
How would one attend or find the calendar, or how to subscribe to go attend to
on our
one
website?
Of those? On your website? Perfect.
Unless it's private. Sometimes these are private, type classes or education things, but we have all our education on our website.
Roxanne, I feel like I could be talking to you all day. You have such wonderful information. Before we go, what advice would you give to a consumer who is currently trying to buy a home in this market?
Well, I mean, if you can buy, I mean, and I'm sure that has more to do with, I mean, home ownership is so important. At the end of the day, you're either renting or you're buying, right?
Yeah.
We have to live somewhere. We have to have a shelter over
Yes.
our heads. So what does that look like?
Yeah.
And if you're in a position that you can do it, because rates are going to always fluctuate. We have more inventory now than we had a year ago, like significantly more. So that is great for buyers. They need options. And when it's a really tight market like it's been, you know, it's not as great for buyers. And so for buyers to be able to have a little breathing room and hopefully get really the home they want, and even if the interest rate is a little higher right now, eventually you will be able to refinance. I personally did that back when I bought my home 17 years ago and was able to refinance within a few years and get it much lower, and I've been in that home ever since. And I got my dream home, and I've been able to hang on to it, and I have equity in it.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to buy your own home when you can.
We cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Thank
my
you all.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for joining us at Mortgage Talk, where real bankers have real talk.